I can't believe this is the last weekend in June. Bloody hell, you blink and you miss this good weather, don't you? But here I am back at home in my polytunnel, and I couldn't resist showing you how everything is looking in this polytunnel, because this has been such a saviour and such a joy for me this year. I can't quite tell you what it feels like to step foot in this polytunnel at the moment. I have had mixed feelings about the allotment plot this year. I don't know why, things have just been a little bit different, but here in the polytunnel, it's absolute magic. Just before I show you exactly what's going on inside, I thought it'd be a good idea just to show you how things are wearing up on this polytunnel so far this year. 169, I think it was, from Amazon. I'll pop the link in the description. Do you know, I only realised, well, I knew these were here, but for some reason I just completely ignored the concept of rolling them up. It was only 2 days ago that I decided to do that. So much cooler now in the polytunnel. Blimey, I'm surprised the plants have survived in the heat wave that we've had over the last week. But check this out, there is some wear and tear on this polytunnel. I'm not going to lie. I mean, as it stands, I may get one more growing season out of it, but you know what, that's okay. I'm all right with it. There's plenty of options I could do. I could get myself another cover to go over the top. I could patch up the bits that aren't going so well, or I could consider investing in a really expensive polytunnel, which is something that's on my mind at the moment, because honestly, this thing is awesome. Having one of these in your back garden completely changes the game, the way you look after stuff. Well, it has for me anyway. Last 3 years on the allotment plot in my greenhouse, I have grown tomatoes. I have had a couple of polytunnels like this that have come up and gone down over the allotment plot. Tried to grow tomatoes in those as well, with sort of, I don't know, low success, I guess. I've had a handful of tomatoes off each plant. It's been a shame really, because I absolutely love homegrown tomatoes. They do taste completely different. And that's what I wanted out of this year, to try and really dial into learning how to grow tomatoes. And I've learned so much, given the fact that, well, it's just here. Feast your eyes on this. I mean, there's just green and yellow everywhere you look here. Look at this. So let me just show you some of the tomato plants that I've got going. So this one here is a Shirley F1. And I've been looking after these pretty well. I don't know that much about it. Like I was saying earlier, I've never really had much success. I understand the principles of chopping out these suckers. So every time a branch comes in between, like this and here, I've just been cutting it out with my scissors. Think I'm doing the right thing. They all seem to be thriving. The second thing I'm doing as well is trying to make sure that there's only one kind of primary stalk that goes up, if you like. I tell you, if you leave tomato plants to their own devices, they go off in all sorts of angles. Here's one here, you see. So all I do is I just whip that out. To be honest with you, that's about as far as my technical gardening knowledge goes with tomato plants, trying to keep one stalk that goes all the way up, and when a sucker comes out, nip it out. I have noticed if you don't get hold of them suckers pretty quick, they grow almost as big as like a primary stalk, and have chopped out some that are almost as big as a primary stalk. I don't know what I'm talking about. Keep coming out and in the polytunnel because it's so bloody warm. These holes, which I've dug down, they were quite deep when I planted the tomato plant itself, and then I just raised it up with compost. What have we got here? We've got a Ailsa Craig. I always pick that bloody one up and I don't know how to say it, but look at these. I mean, they are glorious, aren't they? It's funny really, timing that I've kind of done that approach to digging down. I noticed in Lanzarote when we went there a couple of years ago, they use a similar technique to grow stuff because it's so cool down underground compared to up top. I tell you what, feels like it's worked a treat given the heat wave that we've had. Let me show you how some of the other plants are getting on. Look at this beefsteak tomatoes coming on there. I mean, bearing in mind, last year, I would have been lucky if I'd have got anything like that and it probably would have split. But these plants are just doing so well in here. What have we got down here? Look at these. Look at these. They're just popping up everywhere. I tried to mix up the varieties a little bit. I've got some sort of normal sized tomatoes, Shirley F1s, that one there that I can't really pronounce. Crimson Crush is in here as well. We've got some cherry tomatoes a little bit closer to the front, and then we've got the beef steaks that I've just showed you right there. This one here seems to be doing particularly well. Let me have a look at the variety. So this one's a black opal. Look how many tomatoes we're getting on here. Look at this. Absolutely loads. This plant's going really high as well. At first I thought I was proper butchering my plants, but do you know what? Seems to be doing the trick. Oh, this is a nice variety as well. Here I've got the Roma tomatoes, and this beauty. I had to stake it with a different cane yesterday, as that was getting out of control as well. And in fact, you may notice some of them have kind of coiled around a bit of string and sort of put onto the poles, onto the polytunnel, just because I haven't really had canes that have been so tall. I've just kind of varied how I've supported them, really. I haven't got any plant clips. I've just used string around the plants themselves. But all of them, surprisingly, every single one of them seems to be looking good. So about 2 weeks ago, I started to feed them with the tomato feed, and I've just been whacking a bit into a, what's it called now? Watering can. Jesus, what's going on? I think it's getting a bit hot. Yeah, into a watering can, and then I've just been feeding them as well. So they're all green. I haven't had any sort of turn red just yet. I'm not concerned about that whatsoever. I've not got any splits on any of them either. Everything just seems to be going right. Here's some of my cherry tomatoes, look. I've got an abundance of them there. And more cherry tomatoes there. God, that looks so healthy. So there we have it. That's an update on my tomatoes in my polytunnel in my back garden on the last weekend of June. Hope you've enjoyed walking around with me, checking out my toms. Thanks for watching. Give the video a like, subscribe if you haven't already done so you can follow along with my journey of trying to grow food and vegetables. But for now, thank you very much for watching. I'll see you next time.